A lot of you are not getting better. And in fact, you're getting worse. And your own nasal sprays, and you're trying to combat whatever it is you're dealing with. It could be clogging, could be allergy related. It could just simply be that your nasal passages are so swollen that you were turned on to nasal spray, hoping that you can get a little bit more relief, a little bit more clarity in your sinuses. Well, I have news for you. That nasal spray that you're using constantly, every day, just as the box in the description and the instructions tell you to do, is actually causing more harm than good. And I'm going to get into 10 reasons of why nasal spray is actually killing your situation and really not helping you as much as you probably think. But before I do, I want all of you to know that this video is not to persuade you away from taking nasal spray or to tell you to stop your medication as advised by your doctor. It's to give you my take on what I think it's doing to you, and you can make the ultimate decision from there. And number one, overuse of decongestants. Now, we all know that prolonged use of nasal decongestants has been shown in many studies. Now, you probably are aware of this, but there has been studies, not just me saying this today, there has been studies showing that using nasal spray for an extended period of time has led to something called a rebound effect, which causes more congestion in the nasal passages. Now, a lot of you are on nasal spray because it's a little more chronic than you want it to be. So therefore, you need to be on it long term. So how is it going to help you if long term using that nasal spray, most of you are on long term, that it's going to cause a rebound effect. So you're ultimately going to get it if you're using it an extended period of time. Now, that exact time frame is unknown. It depends on the situations of where you live. It depends on who you are as a person. It depends on how often you use it, how strong the medication is. But in any rate, using it long term has shown to cause a rebound effect. And that's not going to help with ETD. That's not going to help with any of the sinus related trouble that you're dealing with. It's only going to give you those long lasting symptoms that you're trying to get rid of. And number two, increase mucus production. Now, a lot of you are probably unaware of this, but many nasal sprays on the market contain a certain ingredient called oxymetazoline, which has been linked to increase mucus production. It exacerbates the mucus production lining and gives you more mucus, which is what you're not trying to do. You're trying to drain this fluid. You're trying to decrease the swelling. And a lot of the nasal spray, look it up yourself, contain this ingredient that has been linked to showing that it gives you more mucus production. It produces the chances of you having more of it. So how are you going to heal if something in the ingredient is actually making it last longer, making the problems that you face last longer? And this is the things that you probably aren't educated about, or if you are, you have no choice because there's not a lot out there on the market. But again, there are more natural saline rinses out there. So those are more the way that I would lean to. But again, you're using this stuff, you're trying to get rid of these symptoms, you don't know that it's causing more problems, so you continue to use it and you're finding no healing at all. So that's really horrible, and I hope a lot of you can take a look at your ingredients and see what's in there and see if that's going to help you or it's going to make things worse. The next one is swelling of nasal passages. Now, this kind of links a little bit to number one, what we talked about, but nasal spray, yes, has been linked to swelling the nasal passages. Again, because of some of the ingredients that are in the nasal spray, the medicated nasal sprays, it's going to make your nasal passages very swollen. It's going to decrease that blood circulation. It's going to start not only shrinking your nasal passages, but then when you do that, you start building up fluid, debris, and then if you're dealing with ETD symptoms, it's just going to make things worse because things are just going to keep piling on top of each other. You're going to start getting more fluid, and you go in and say, hey, I have a lot of fluid in my ear, I can feel it. You're given more nasal spray. I cannot tell you that I would walk into these allergy clinics and these ENT offices, and I would literally walk out with a bag of nasal spray, like big bags of sample nasal spray. And I thought I was sitting on top of some gold. I was like, wow, I didn't have to pay for any of this stuff. Wow, that's amazing. I would drive home with a smile on my face thinking I'm going to get through this thing. Little did I know that I was sitting on top of something that was actually making my symptoms worse. And number four, Disruption of the nasal cycle. Now, a lot of you probably were unaware of this one. There is a process that the subconscious mind does. It's managed by the autonomic nervous system, where in your nasal passages you have a dominant nostril and a less dominant nostril at a time, which the airflow at certain points of the day, there's a cycle where one side is more dominant than the other side. And so it's a natural process that we all go through as humans, where we decongest and congest in our nasal passages. Well, when you use nasal spray, it can cause a disruption to that natural nasal cycle that all of us have developed over time, which is a natural process of the body. And when you use nasal spray, you're disrupting that natural flow, which can cause more problems than not. When you disrupt this process, it can put strain on that airflow. And when the airflow is off, a lot of you have already hinted to this, you have equilibrium problems, you have problems with balance, and this can throw off the middle ear. It can lead to more dizziness and tinnitus. And so you don't want to disrupt something that's already naturally produced by the body, because again, it starts very small and expands to something greater and more harder to get rid of. And number 5, dependence on nasal sprays. Now, a lot of you might be at this point, hopefully you're not, but I always stress on this. Nasal spray can give you that sense of dependency where you can't do certain things without it. You look at that bottle and you see it's only a little bit left. You're like, oh, I can't do this. I can't go out. I can't go to mountains. I can't go to trails. Can't go to parks. I can't even go to work sometimes. You don't want to develop that, because that leads to more mental strain. It leads to more anxiety, more stress. And it just becomes a nuisance in your life. You don't need that. And so a nasal spray can definitely get you hooked on that. It can make you feel like you can't do certain activities without it. And I just really wanted to let all of you know that the only way to break that cycle is to just simply do those things without it and see how you feel. Of course, you're going to feel a little uneasy at first, but that's what I ended up having to do. I was told, you need to have this stuff. You need to have it all the time. And I just was not buying that. I was like, I can't have that. First of all, it's a very high cost item. Second of all, it's just more challenging to always remember to have it. And then third, I just feel like there's more that I can do naturally than to just, seek those kind of ideas and things. So it's really a hard part of life to figure out when you have this dependence, but it's something I think all of you can master, but it's just doing it one at a time. And number 6, ignoring underlying conditions. Now, when you use nasal spray, you're going to start getting the effects of it working at the beginning because it's new to you. Your body hasn't been exposed to it. You start using it, and if you don't use it often, you're going to feel some of the initial effects. But let's talk about how you may have underlying conditions. You may have sinusitis, you may have real allergy problems, and there's other alternatives that you can do other than to just do nasal spray, in my opinion. So I always say, if you have underlying conditions, you want to be cautious because you can definitely be masking those things that could be going wrong. It could be the structure. It could be a structure with the sinus passages. It could be a structure of the way the ears are. The eustachian tube needs time to heal. If you're spraying that nasal spray up there, you're trying to feel better. You're trying to reduce some of those symptoms, but at the same time, there could be underlying causes, and you're simply just masking those by using the nasal spray over time. And number 7, this one resonates with me, inadequate treatment of underlying conditions. Now, this is a little bit different. It plays on number 6, but this one is just basically inadequate treatment. So again, for example, if you have ETD problems, you're being prescribed nasal spray. This doesn't do the job because in this sense, the eustachian tube has far worse things that you need to worry about. So sometimes it could be jaw related. It can be TMJ, it could be things structural that's going on, and you're continuously using this nasal spray, and it's not even helping. That was my reason. I had other issues that I needed to face and needed to get through, and I was continuously using this nasal spray, and all this was doing was giving me more anxiety, raising my blood pressure. It was giving me more congestion. And at the end of the day, I needed to massage my muscles more. I needed to work on my posture. I needed to improve my diet. I needed to improve my outlook. And all those things could not be simply accomplished by just using nasal spray. So inadequate treatment, not an effective way to treat most things, in my opinion. It's really looking at big picture what's going on with your body and going from the inside outward to figure out if that's going to help you feel better. And number 8, Potential for nasal spray addiction. Now, some nasal sprays contain opioids and steroids. These are highly addictive. They can cause extreme harm to the body, extreme harm to the mental side of things. It can put you in a position where you simply got to have 4 or 5, 6 or 7 nasal sprays in your bag at all times. You continuously use it. Even if the recommendations tell you to wait 4 or 5 hours, you'll use it again. You may be nervous, so you think that's the way to do it. Maybe you spray a couple more times because you feel nervous. So it starts to become where you use it for simply a mental change in the mood. You change all day. We have moods, we have mood swings, we have changes in the way we feel, think, and act. When you continuously use nasal spray, you can develop this sense of dependence, this impact, this addiction. And I didn't get to that part, but I know it's something that happens out there. I've seen people have that where they just literally are addicted to it. And it goes beyond just finding relief at this point. It's really just like it becomes a habit, like you just have to do it. You had a good day using it, so then you continuously overuse it. So it's just not something that I recommend for anybody. Obviously, I'm not a provider. I will not tell you to stop whatever it is you're doing. I will just tell you what I feel it's doing, and you can decide your overall situation based on what you've been prescribed, what you've been told. You can come up with your own determination on what's best for you. But at the end of the day, I am blessed I didn't get to this point, but I know it's out there, and I know a lot of people out there are suffering because of that. And number 9, the impact on the mucociliary clearance. Now, there is a certain mechanism in our nasal passages that situates the mucus and the mucus lining. And when you use nasal spray, it can disrupt this natural flow of mucus. Again, kind of going back to what we talked about earlier in the video about how the nasal spray can increase mucus production. But we do have a natural process in our mucus lining that gets rid of what we don't need and increases what we do need, but it's all natural. It's not being enhanced by using a certain medication. And when you disrupt the natural flow of the mucociliary process, it can again cause more mucus buildup, more problems in the structure of the way the mucus is, the lining of the sinuses, the way the mucus is produced. And overall, it can go from the mucus lining to the ears. Then it can cause problems in the neck, the shoulders. This whole thing can spiral out effect from just having one problem here, can go to here, can go to here, can go down to here, down to here. It's all connected. So you want to be very cautious. And if you're at that phase, take a step back, look at where you are, see where things are going, talk to your provider, let them know what's happening. Say, hey, I don't think this is doing it, because you have every right to question the provider and go from there. And number 10, lack of addressing the Eustachian tube. Now, I have left this one for last because, again, I kind of touched a little bit on this, but again, the Eustachian tube has a purpose of opening and closing. And it has been shown in many studies that using nasal spray for various other reasons, pressure buildup, again, fluid buildup, all this has led to causing more problems with the Eustachian tube, especially pressure. When the pressure is unequalized and the pressure starts to build up, it can cause that Eustachian tube to prop in an open position. Instead of just being closed or instead of just being open, some of you have already alluded to having patulous Eustachian tube disorder or dysfunction. And if you get to that point, you're going to start hearing your own voice. You're going to start hearing the buzzing, the ringing. It's not addressing the main cause. Again, the way I would start if I was any of you out there dealing with ETD problems, I would literally look at the overall situation. Take out things that you're doing that you may be unaware of that you're doing, like caffeine. Take out things. Start with taking out things first. It's like cleaning a room. You can't completely clean the room unless you start taking things away. Sometimes you have to get rid of some things in order to develop new habits, make room for new things that are going to help you feel better. And that way you can get a clearer picture of what's best for you. But overall, it's just in my opinion, I'm not picking on one particular nasal spray company, but overall, I don't like any of them. I don't think they do very good justice for you. I think it throws the body on its natural process. In my opinion, all these things are just going to make it harder for you. I don't know one single person that gets true relief using nasal spray. So why continue to do it, in my opinion. I think there are a lot better alternatives out there. There's the neti pot, there's nasal rinses, there's steam inhalation, there's red light therapy. There's a lot of things that you could potentially do that do not have side effects, of course, if done correctly and done, you know, the way it should be done. So overall, look at your overall situation. I hope all of you have found a lot of help out of this video. I hope a lot of you are not in this situation, that you're dealing with all 10 of these. And I hope I can help whoever is suffering feel a little bit better about where to go now, where to turn to. So hope this video was very helpful for you. If it was, please take time to subscribe to the channel. I try to bring content as often as possible. But in the meantime, I'm going to step out of the Jaye Wellness Studio and leave you in good hands with this video. Like anything else, folks, we're here to simply go back to the basics. Take care, everybody, and I will catch you in the next video.